Morning, everybody. Great to see you guys today. Right now, upstairs is student ministry, ministering to our students. Isn't that amazing? And then downstairs is all those volunteers with our kids right now. Can we give family ministry a hand for all they do for our next generation? Yes. Love those guys. I love music. I don't know about you guys, but I love all kinds of music. What's your favorite band of all time? I'm just curious. What's your favorite band of all time? Eagles. I heard that in the first service. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Got to say the Rolling Stones. Got to hear the Beatles. Man, you guys got a lot of bands you like here. My favorite band of all time is U2. Okay, love U2. Seen them in concert several times. Beautiful Day is probably my favorite song they do. But they had this first hit in the United States. I was living in Abilene, Texas at the time. Was a song about complicated relationships, with or without you. You ever heard of that one? I can't live with or without you. You ever felt that way? Ever felt that way in your marriage? Ever felt that way on your team with a team member that was difficult? Ever felt that way in your family with a difficult family member? I can't live with you. I can't live without you. Guys, today we're talking about conflict in relationships. And guys, you cannot have great relationships without going through conflict. You just can't. Matter of fact, I would say conflict is good for you in some ways to help you build closer relationships with people. Now, J.D. Greear and Gary Smalley are two guys I love to read their books and listen to them, and so we're going to use some of their material today, but I just want to give them credit for it. But Gary Smalley would say conflict is the doorway to intimacy. That really you have to go through the doorway of conflict to get intimate with somebody, to really know them. And then J.D. Greear is going to say conflict is an opportunity in disguise. What are you talking about, Mark? What kind of opportunity? Opportunity to really get to know somebody. Get to know their feelings. Get to know their needs. It's also an opportunity for you to communicate on the highest level possible we talked about a couple weeks ago, 4 and 5. It's an opportunity to learn to compromise and come up with new ways of doing things in your relationship. And it's also an opportunity for you to draw closer to Christ, who was perfectly able to navigate conflicts in his life. So there's a lot of opportunities that come through conflict that don't come through anything else. Listen to this quote. I love this quote by William Channing. Difficulties are meant to rouse, not discourage. The human spirit is to grow strong by conflict. The key word there for me is rouse. Conflict rouses something. It jolts me. It wakes me up to something that needs my attention. We need to address this. We need to express this, or things are going to go south. So most of the stuff, guys, you're going to hear today, you know this stuff. This is just stuff that we all need to be reminded about in our relationships probably every week. Nate Bargatze is one of my favorite comedians right now. You guys like Nate? Oh, man, he's awesome. He's clean. I love him. Now, I don't know if he's a Christian or not. I hope he is. But he's from Tennessee. So he can't be all bad. Okay, Old Hickory, Tennessee. They call him the Tennessee Kid. Well, what's funny about Nate when I'm watching him is he puts all this stuff in his routine about his marital spats. And I can relate because Kelly and I have a great marriage, but man, we have so many arguments because we're both so stubborn. And so I love it that he shares in real life, this is what we go through. And he made this statement. He said, 90% of marital fights are dumb. Just dumb over dumb stuff. He said the other 10% you need to call the cops. And so he shares how they had this fight over chocolate milk one time. And so you can watch that one online. So I'll share one of our dumb fights today, and then you guys email me yours because I need some good laughs this week, okay? Deal? If I share, you got to share, okay? Deal? I'm not hearing a deal there. But occasionally we have the pick the restaurant fight. You have this one? Oh, Kelly, you pick the restaurant tonight. No, Mark, you pick. Oh, I don't care where we go. I don't care either. You pick. Okay, let's go to Pizza Vola over on the beach side. I love their bread and I love the chicken piccata. No, that's too far. Okay, all right, then let's go to Pizza Gallery. No, we'll see all kinds of church people there. Kelly, we're going to see church people anywhere we go in Vieira. You see the Sixth Sense movie? I see dead people. We see church people everywhere you go. Okay, let's go to Long Doggers. No, we went there last week. You told me to pick and you're not letting me pick. You ever had this fight? So then we ended up doing takeout from 2 different restaurants. Yeah. Then there's the thermostat fight. You have this one? Who likes it warm? Who likes it warm in the house? Who likes it cold? Yeah, more cold in the room. Okay? Why are you wearing a sweater in the middle of the summer? Because somebody in the house likes to live in an igloo in Florida. And then there's the fights over Netflix cheating. You know, you both get into this binge-worthy series, man, you're watching together and it's kind of your thing, you know, where you watch together. And then you're alone one night and they're not around and you're kind of interested in what happens next, and so you go ahead and watch a couple of episodes without them there. And they figure it out later. That is so wrong. Truth will find you out. And then there's the social media posting fight. When you happen to post that less than perfect picture of your significant other without asking their permission. I can't believe you posted that picture of me. That's horrible of me. But baby, I love it when your hair is messed up and you have no makeup on. We got 500 likes. Look at that. Doesn't overcome the one big dislike, okay, from them. So we all have these dumb fights. Dr. Howard Markham says this. He said, if couples can just learn to work out their conflicts, we could cut the divorce rate in half. Guys, here's the good news. You can learn this stuff, okay? We can learn some good stuff today that's going to help you make sure you work through conflict in the right way. So let's do it, okay? You with me? Let's do it. Why we fight. Let's start there. Why we fight. We're going to start with something that James, the half-brother of Jesus, said in James 4. So if you have your Bibles, you want to turn over to James 4. We'll look at it in a minute. Can you imagine growing up in the home where the Son of God was your older brother? Can you imagine that? Getting out of bed every morning, he gets on with a smile on his face. You know, his bed is always made perfectly. He always eats all his vegetables. You're pretty sure he's doing something special with his water that he's not telling you, but you don't know for sure. But seriously, how many times do you think James probably heard from his parents, why can't you be more like your brother Jesus? So if anybody's going to know about conflict and jealousy, it's James. Listen to what he says, James 4. What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire, but you don't have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. And when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. What causes fights? Here it is. Conflicting desires. You've got something you want and you feel like you're entitled to in that relationship, and you have expectations of receiving this, but this person won't give it to you because this person wants something different than what you want. And there's this battle going on. That's reason number one. Power and control causes a lot of conflict. Who's going to make the call? Who gets to make the decision in this? Who's the boss? Who's exerting way too much control in the relationship? That's where fights start. Reason number two. Insecurity from past hurt. Someone else in a relationship long time ago hurt you, but now you're taking it out on the person you're with now. I call that the resentment ricochet. This person didn't hurt you, someone else hurt you, but because you're sensitive about it, you take it out on this person you're with now. past hurt. Reason number 3, personal and gender differences. We're different. Men and women are different. You can read all kinds of books about that. We're different because of our personalities. So you start with 2 self-centered people. You put them in a relationship. They have different family backgrounds. They have different personalities. You now add in bad choices they've each made or can each make. Then you add in annoying habits that each one has. Then you add in unrealistic expectations they might have for the relationship. Then you put it in the heat of the battle of everyday difficulties. You're gonna have conflict. It's unavoidable. And what I've discovered is opposites often attract, but then opposites turn around and then they attack. And the reason you wanted this relationship with this person because they brought something different to the table and you like the different style they brought and the different variety and spice they brought, but now you attack them because they're different than you. Same thing on work teams. Brandon Reeve and I, our XP, we were talking about this the other day. We have team members who are more on the efficiency side of making sure everything meets the budget, and then when you got people who are over here on the experience side who like to spend money, right? And so you have to manage the tension between the two. That's one of our phrases. We have to manage the tension on our teams. Reason number 4, misunderstood feelings or unmet needs. This is a big one. There's probably a misunderstood feeling or an unmet need in there somewhere. There's a book called His Needs, Her Needs. It talks about this, how you need to understand the needs of the other person, and they don't think like you, and they don't need things like you need. And the Love Languages book also talks about how we all make these deposits and withdrawals from the relational bank account, and we need to make sure we're putting in more deposits than we're making withdrawals. This goes back to needs and feelings. Reason number 5, just pure selfishness. Isn't that what James is talking about? You fight over these things because you don't get what you want. You see, all our differences are magnified in these relationships where we're with this person 24/7. Whether you're married to them or you're in the family with them, they see parts of you that nobody else sees. They see the good, they see the bad, they see the ugly, and they certainly see the selfishness. And God has put them there in your life to help you with that selfishness and help you with that pride. And you help them. I like to say to couples that I counsel or that I marry, a lot of times you're going to be holy sandpaper to them. In other words, God's going to use you to smooth over those rough edges in their life. Holy sandpaper. But that's going to bring tension, conflict. So James, what he's really advocating is that we shoot for the triple win. What he's saying is you need to get God involved here in this relationship. You need to get God involved in this issue. First of all, the triple win. You want God to win, of course, and then you want the other person to win, and then you want to win. You want all 3 to win. But you got to start with God. And so you go to God, you pray, God, I know that you're the number one person that can meet my needs. This person can't meet all my needs like you can. So I get that, and I understand that. So I'm never going to treat them like they're God in my life. But yes, you put them in my life to meet my needs, to be a vehicle for that. And so, Lord, help me in this situation know what to say and what to do to meet their needs, but also to help them understand what my needs are. And you start with God. You involve God. He says you do not have because you don't ask God. You don't have peace because you're not involved God in the process. Start there and things will get better. Now let's talk about ways to fight right. I like to call them the fight right rules for relationships. Okay? Every relationship, I believe, you need to have fight rules. In this marriage, we're going to do this, we're not going to do this when we fight. One of our fight rules, we're not going to use the D word. Okay? Divorce is not an option, so we're not going to use that in our marriage. That's just one of our fight rules. We're not going to throw things at each other. I mean, you just go down. Here's things we're not going to do, here's things we're going to do. In this family, here's how we're going to fight and go through conflict. Here's how we're not. On this team, at this church, here's how we're going to argue. Here's how we're going to have our differences and work things out. Here's things we're not going to do. Everybody needs their fight rules. So here's tip number 1. Major on the major, not on the minor. We all know this. We got to pick our battles. We can't fight over everything. Everything's not a big deal. So you got to learn, is this really worth fighting over? That should be the first question you ask. Is this issue really worth all the time and energy it's going to take to go through this or not? If it is, yeah, let's go through it. But Proverbs 19:11 says this, sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Have you ever been around an insensible, inflexible person who can't let anything go? Always got to win, win, win. Guys, it's wise to let some things go, to overlook some things they do that offend you. There's something very wise, very sensible, even glorious of you overlooking an offense. In other words, you snuff out this little flame that if you fanned would turn into an inferno. I'm not going to turn this into an inferno, so I'm just going to snuff this thing out right away and say it's not that big a deal. So we talked about using word pictures to kind of describe your feelings so it helps they remember better, but also it helps you clearly describe how you're feeling. So here's an example of how you would use that to kind of demonstrate your hurt level. You might say to them, man, you just hit me with a Nerf ball. Okay, I heard you, but it really didn't hurt that bad. It's not that big a deal. We're just going to let it go. Okay, but you hit me with a Nerf ball. But then if you turn to him and say, you hit me with a dodgeball, that's a little bit more, right? I don't know if you guys ever played dodgeball. Junior high, we used to call it battle ball. And we played it almost all the time. And sometimes you would find this person who wasn't looking, and then you just nail them out of nowhere. And sometimes we do that in a relationship. Like, I didn't see that coming. That kind of hurt, but it wasn't too bad. But okay, you hit me with a dodgeball today. But then if you say to them, you hit me with a baseball, now we're really hurting that person. No, that really, really hurt bad. Why did you say that? You just hit me with a baseball. Man, I got hit with a baseball playing high school baseball one time by a fastball pitcher. He hit me right in the jaw. I thought I'd broke my jaw. And you can just say to him, man, I just think you almost broke your jaw with the thing you just said to me. You hit me with a fastball. What you're really saying is, hey, man, we need to pause here. We're starting to hurt each other. But then when you say, you just hit me with a wrecking ball, now that's super serious. Okay, you just wrecked me. You're destroying me. You're damaging me in a deep way. That's when you say you're hitting me with a wrecking ball. So again, that's just a word picture that kind of describes there's some things you need to let go, there's some things you don't need to let go. And you got to determine when you need to speak up and when you don't need to speak up. This is tough at times, but you're going to have to get counsel from others if you need to. But in the words of the great theologian Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away, you got to know when to run. And sometimes you need to run and get out of the room. Tip number 2, be gentle and be respectful. Okay, we're going to fight, we're going to have arguments, but we're going to do our best to keep it gentle and respectful. Galatians 6:1. Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. So what does gently mean? Lovingly, respectfully, not selfishly. So here's the litmus test. If you get excited about confronting them, you're headed into sin. Okay? It's like, man, I can't wait to take this one on. Right? Not good. Okay? Pause, time out. We have a new Sharing Grace podcast that I hope you guys will tune into. Just trying to give you some things off of the message particularly that you can kind of go deeper into. And so last week, John Mark talked about friendship. So this week's podcast was on friendship. We were sharing a lot of things about friendship. And I found this quote this week. I said, man, that would have been perfect for the podcast. But I found it like the day after we did the podcast. It's by Rumi. And I love this. He said this, the one who has a good friend needs no mirror. You know how that speaks to me? If you're blessed to have a good friend or a patient spouse who will listen to you and understand you and work through any issue with you with gentleness, then that's a wonderful person to have in your life. They see you, they get you like no one else, but they unpack all of the issues with truth and grace and love. We need to become that kind of friend. We need to become that kind of spouse. Here's some practical tips to do that. First of all, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Use I statements, not you statements, okay? And instead of saying, you hurt me, you did this, say, I felt hurt when you said that. Or instead of saying something like, you're never at home, you might say, man, I miss you. I miss spending time with you. It gets across the same message. It just does it in a different way that doesn't make them so defensive. And then avoid exaggeration. When you say, oh, you never do this, and you never do that, and you always do this. No, you're over-exaggerating things, and it just frustrates the other person when you do that. It's just putting fuel on the fire. It's not gentle. One problem at a time. Okay? No stockpiling problems and throwing in and piling up things when they start bringing something up. One issue at a time. And don't tell the other person how they should feel. And don't tell the other person how they should think. You share how you feel, you share how you think, but you don't tell them how they should feel. And here's a big one. You attack the problem, not the person. Because when you start getting into a character assassination, now you're doing damaging work. You want to attack the behavior that needs to be changed, not the person. And the blame game is just a form of attacking the person. You do this and you do that and blame, 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 blame. No, in almost every situation, part of the pie is yours. I like to call it the blame pie. And maybe if only 10% is yours, that's fine, but you've got 10% and they need to work on their 90%. So the blame game is not going to help. Say what you need to say, but say it respectfully. Otherwise, these hurtful, demeaning words are going to cause them to back off and not want to share next time you get into a discussion. And here's another tip that Gary Smalley says, avoid the door slammers. There's some things that just slam the door. Things like abusive language. Things like hostile humor, sarcasm, just slam the door. Screaming doesn't help. Just slams the door. Avoid those door slammers. Tip number 3, avoid fighting publicly. We know this. Don't embarrass the other person in front of your friends or in front of family or the team. Don't embarrass them in front of the team. If you need to talk to them privately. And resist the urge of getting other family and friends so invested in the issue before they need to be. There's some people, yes, you need to involve, but other people, no, not until it gets to a point. Because what happens many times is you get it resolved and you make up with the person and the family's still upset with them. They can't get over it like you can. And now all of a sudden this bitterness is just built up in the family because you let everybody know your mess before you needed to. Now, it's okay to disagree in public, just don't fight in public, okay? Like the husband could say, the Florida Gators are the best basketball team because they are the SEC tourney champs. And he could say that. And his Warhawk wife would say, no, Auburn is the best team because they are the SEC league champs. And in that situation, you need to come to your pastor and get counseling. Because he's going to tell you Tennessee is the best team because they have the best defense. All right, okay. Who's doing the March Madness brackets? Who's doing them? Isn't that fun? Who you got going all the way? I want to hear. Who you got going all the way this year? Of course, I'm going to hear a lot of Floridas today. Duke is a big favorite. Who else? Any dark horses out there? We're doing a bracket at the church. Church staff does one every year. And we have a lot of fun. Well, the staff is giving me a hard time because I didn't put Tennessee Volunteers as going all the way. Matter of fact, in my bracket, I have Florida Gators beating Tennessee and the Gators going all the way. They're at the top of my bracket. And people are like, why would you do that, Mark? Well, number one, if the Volunteers win and go all the way, I'm happy. I'm really happy. Okay? But if Florida beats Tennessee and they go all the way and win it, I win the staff prize. I'm happy. So I can't lose. Anyway, so my point here, what is my point here? My point here is reserve your fights for private places. And my other point is if you didn't put the Vols in your Final Four, I ain't talking to you till Easter. Okay? All right, tip number 4. Got to have some fun, y'all. Come on. Listen twice as much as I talk. Listen twice as much as I talk. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Can I hear an amen? All right. We've got to learn to do the John 1:19 dance, which is quick, slow, slow. Quick, slow, slow. What's James say? Understand this. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. So I'll tell you what helps me. I shared this on the podcast. What helps me to really lock in with a person that I'm having this really deep discussion with is, first off, I look into their eyes. I hate it when people won't look me in the eyes. I'm looking in their eyes. I look in their eyes. I lean in to give them my nonverbal communication, and then I listen in intently so that they can be heard. That just helps me to lock in. I do the 3 L's. And it helps me to show them I really do care to hear what you have to say. Proverbs 18:13. Listen to this. Spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. Yeah, but. Yeah, you say that, but what about this? No. You're not listening to learn, you're listening to reply. We need to listen so that we learn. Here's another one. Don't interrupt. Wait your turn. We learned that in kindergarten, y'all. Don't interrupt. I have a problem with this too. I have to work on this. Don't interrupt. Let the person finish, and then you get to say what you're going to say. And another one. Don't give premature advice before you've even heard them out. Because you probably have misread the situation anyway because you haven't heard their side of it. And because the person's probably looking for a companion in their pain, not a solution for their problem. Did you get that? They're looking for a companion in their pain, not a solution for the problem. They just want to be seen and heard. If you don't know what to say, just ask a bunch of questions and listen. And if you still don't know what to say, keep asking questions. And if you still don't know what to say, just repeat back what you heard. Oh, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I understand your point of view now. I don't understand everything, but I understood what you said. Now, I'd like for you to hear me out and my side of things. That's a respectful way of doing it. Or you can say something like this. Okay, I hear you. I understand your point of view. I don't agree with it. And here's why. And then you explain your side, but at least you heard them. And even, guys, when we disagree, we don't have to be disagreeable. I still love you. I still respect you. I want to be your friend. I don't agree with everything you said, but I hope we can leave this place and still be friends. And I'll give you time to work on things, and give me some time to work on things. I think we can do it that way, can't we? Tip number 5, own my part by practicing the AAA. You know what the AAA is? First A is admit. I'm going to own my part, first of all, by admitting my wrong. Every blame pie, no matter how percentage you put on them, you have a percentage in there in that blame pie. Even if it's 10 or 20%, you need to own that part. And the key here is be very specific about what you're sorry about. Not just, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry for this, exactly what I did to you. What I said was this, and I'm sorry for it. Guys, if you don't know specifically what you're sorry for, you're not going to change. And never say, you made me do this. No, other person is guilty of their part, and God's going to hold them accountable for that. But there's a part in this where you reacted, that's your part. They didn't cause you to do anything. We see this in Adam and Eve in the garden, didn't we? We saw the blame game. Oh, the woman made me do it. Adam was sitting right there by her side. Don't be an Adam. Oh, the devil made me do it. Don't be a Geraldine either. That's Flip Wilson's character. Don't be an Eve. It says, oh, the devil made me do it. No, Eve, you should have owned your part. And if you're having trouble with this, just get some friends that really you trust and get them involved, and they'll help you with your blind spots. That's why we need to surround our people that are godly and love us. They'll point out the blind spots and do it in love and grace so that you can see it. Second A, I admit it, then I apologize for it. And again, I do it very specifically. I apologize very specifically and sincerely for it. I don't just say, I'm sorry. Or, I'm sorry, but, no. Or I don't say, oh, I'm sorry you think I did something wrong. Or, I'm sorry you feel I hurt you. No. I'm sorry. I know I hurt you. I'm sorry I did this to you, and I'm sorry for this. And then third A is ask. Ask for forgiveness. That's the triple A. Now, this puts you in a posture of humility, and that posture is going to do more to resolve your conflicts than anything else. Now, they're open to also probably owning their part. You know, I was on Facebook this week for some reason. I don't get on there that often, and Brian Dillon, who attends our church, had posted something. I thought, man, that's perfect for relationships. It was phrases that save relationships. And one of them was, if it bothers you, it matters to me. And I thought, that's good. If it bothers you because I love you, it matters to me. Here's another one. I was thinking about what happened earlier, and I want to apologize. Forgive me. That's good. And I really like this one. Thank you for having patience with me. I'm still learning this stuff. I'm still learning. Can we all admit that? We're still learning how to do relationships. Tip number 6, be quick to forgive. Okay, you've asked for their forgiveness, be quick to forgive them. See, in conflict, you demonstrate what you believe about the gospel. Because the core of Christianity is that we've been forgiven great sins by our God. We've been saved, we didn't deserve it, and God has forgiven us of so much, and it's so overwhelming to think of all that God has forgiven us. Why wouldn't I forgive someone else who's done so much little things to me than them? What I've done to God. It's easier to forgive when I see all the things that God has done to forgive me of what I've done to Him. So you're going to demonstrate the gospel in your conflict. Look at Colossians 3:13. It says this, make allowances for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you so that you must forgive others. And remember, you can forgive them even if they don't say they're sorry. Because then now you've just done what God has told you to do, and you can take that and just release it and it not be on you all the time, even if they never say they're sorry. But certainly, if they say they're sorry, we want to forgive them. The golden rule is do unto others as you would want them to do to you. The grace rule is this, do to others as God has already done to you. Isn't that what Colossians 3:13 is saying? We need to forgive others because God has forgiven us first. So to forgive, again, means to release that person. You have released the offender. You have pardoned that person. And you're willing to move on. I like what Dr. Archibald Hart said. He said, forgiveness is giving up my right to hurt you for hurting me. Forgiveness is giving up my right to hurt you for hurting me. And guys, the principle here is do it quick, do it early, do it often. Don't hold it for a long time. Try to do it as early as you can and just say, I forgive you, and move on. Tip number 7, and we're toward the home stretch here, bring gospel hope to the conflict. Guys, what I see is so many times conflicts just take you down a spiral and things are getting worse and worse. Why? Because we haven't given any hope to the relationship. We're like, oh, there's no hope for you. You're not going to change. There's no hope for me. I can't change. But guys, when you believe in the gospel, you believe God can do anything. When you see what Jesus Christ did by dying for our sins on the cross and coming out of that tomb alive, He can do anything. No one is beyond repair. And when you believe that, it brings hope into your relationship. And we all need that when we're going through difficulties in our relationships. There's a great experiment that's famous about these people who were trying to determine how long rats could make it when they put them in the water. Now, again, I know it's cruel, and for those rat advocates, I'm not advocating this. It's just reporting it, okay? Just reporting the news. But they put these rats in there, and they figured that once they put them in the water, they lasted about 10 minutes regularly, normally. But then when they put them in, and then they would kind of bring them out and then put them back in 2 or 3 times, what they discovered is some of the rats would be able to swim for 60 hours. Why? Because they had hope that they might get a rescue. And when you bring the gospel into your relationship, when you bring God into the equation, and God can do anything, it breathes hope into your relationship, and you know we can make this. We can make it through this. That's what we want to do. So what if you have a relationship this week, you need to set up a peace conference? Let me just give you some quick tips, and then we'll pray. Here we go. Step number 1, set up a good time and a good place for the discussion. You don't want to pick a time when both people are frazzled and tired. You want to pick a time when people can talk about it, find a private place, find a good place, and a good time. Step number 2, clarify the issue. We've already given you techniques to do that. Okay, what I'm hearing from you is you think I'm working too much and you think I'm putting work over you. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that right? You clarify it. Once you clarify the issue, you own your part. That's step 3. And what you're hoping is, if you own your part, they're going to own their part. But if they don't own their part, then after you've owned your part, I would turn around and say, is there any part of this pie you need to own? So that you both can own your part. Step 4, then, now that you own your part, you brainstorm ways to make it better. How can we resolve this? And you just throw out all kinds of ideas. Well, here's some ways I'm going to put some limit on my work. Here's some boundaries I'm going to put in people. Here's some things we're both willing to give up for this relationship so we can spend more time with each other. Step 5, you agree on one solution, and then you define each person's responsibility to fulfill that solution. Step 6, you set up a time to have a follow-up discussion. Okay, a week later, we're going to look and see how we're doing on this. Step 7, you celebrate wins. And any progress, you're like, yes, we're making progress. Let's celebrate it. Let's go out to dinner. Let's celebrate it. I want to close with this quote. This quote was so good for me this week. I wanted to share it with you guys. Harry Emerson Fosdick said this: "There are many opinions. I am not always sure whether they're right or wrong, but there's one thing I'm sure of. Courtesy and kindness and tolerance and humility and fairness are right. Opinions may be mistaken. Love never is." You will never mistake love for anything else. Let's pray, guys. Let's pray about any conflicts that we're having right now. We need God's help. Let's ask Him for it. He says you don't have because you didn't ask. Let's ask Him. God, we're asking you to help us in these very difficult relationships we have right now. Help us resolve things that would bring glory to you. You would win, the other person would win, and I would win. God, help us to do it gently and respectfully because we always want to honor you in the way we treat people. And we want people to see you in the process. God, thank you. Thank you for your love for us. We didn't deserve it. In your name we pray.